Hi everyone, I want to say hello to you teacher and of course to my classmates and to all the people who are watching this video. This video is for the subject testing and evaluation in ELT, and this corresponds to the phase number 5, the last phase of this subject called meaningful experiences. My name is Omar Andre Janguma Duarte, and it corresponds to the subject testing and evaluation in ELT for the BA in foreign languages with emphasis on English. I want to start telling you what is going to be this video about. I am going to have three emphases. Of course, we can say that first I'm going to talk about the theoretical framework. Remember, this subject is practice, is practical. That's why we needed to take some theories from some experts on SLA and to apply those theories on real context. That's why this is the yellow one, theoretical framework. The second, I'm going to talk about the assessment. Of course, this is based on testing, and that's why we're going to verify and to conclude and to analyze what's going on and what is the purpose of assessment and what was the purpose of assessment in my practice. And of course, a description of this pedagogical practice that helped me to be a better teacher. Of course, everything related to this objective, to the same goal, to be a really good teacher. So I want to also mention that learning a second language in Colombia it's not an easy task because we have to take into consideration too many details and elements to be successful as a teacher and of course to help the learners. That's why we need to consider the students' needs and, of course, the context to, according to that, modify the curriculum, modify the assessment, and to have really great results. So let's start with goals. Students, of course, this presentation has some goals. A general objective of this presentation is to report thoroughly the learning from the pedagogical practice as a result of an analysis of assessment and second language acquisition. And we have three specific goals. The first one is to show the pedagogical approach applied in English classes at UNAD. Second, to talk about the strengths and weaknesses of a test applied to a student in UNAD. And the third, to give an opinion about the pedagogical practice done in this semester. Let's start with the first one, the theoretical framework. Here we find the theoretical framework and I want to start with a contest, yes, to start telling you what was my practice about. So I did a practice for this university, for Universidad Nacional Abierta a Distancia. So I was really lucky, and of course, I could learn more about my university. And I was in a CPAS called Practice Your English. This CPAS is directed for A1 students from different bachelor's degree from the university who want to learn English or to practice these communicative skills. That is one of the features or characteristics of this program. The student who is enrolled need to be elementary level. Of course, he or she should have elementary level, and of course, they need to be or to be active students at UNAP. And of course, this is a communicative approach. That means that we are not based on um, audiolingual methods or on a grammar translation method. That is a contest. Of course, the environment, it was not on site, it was totally online. That's why I could connect with the students through the platform Microsoft Teams. We, of course, previously talked with the students to schedule the time, and of course, we connected with them through this institutional platform. Of course, we use all the resources like microphone, videos, slides, tests, messages, and of course we could interact. So it was really useful. That is the contest. Of course, it's important to mention that my groups were not so big, so I didn't have groups of six students or more, just maybe six, five. So I had some sessions from one students and others five students. That is the range from one to five. The methods. Okay, I'm going to emphasize here in fourth methods. Let's, as I told you, I didn't base only on grammar translation or audiolingual or natural approach. My method was the first. I consider the second language acquisition. Let's remember this term, this concept is an expression used to refer. Yes, we refer to all the strategies we teachers used to help students learn a second language. All the strategies, all the techniques, all the tasks. And I want to cite this sentence because I think it's so interesting. This is by Ellis, 2014, and it says if learners do not receive exposure of the target language, they cannot acquire it. That's why that was the first theory I used. The students need to be exposed to the language, and it's going to help the students to learn as a second language, the target language, effectively. Now, the method, it was a communicative approach. So I'm going to cite this author, Del Himes, because this author mentions that we integrate the skills. We have listening, we have reading, we have speaking, we have writing, but the purpose is the students talk, the student interaction. If the students are exposed as second language acquisition mentions, and of course the student is trying to communicate, to convey a message, the learning is going to be more meaningful. That's why that was the approach I use in my classes. Also, the environment. I cite here the author Phil Benson, and this is about the atmosphere. Yes, how tension or how relaxed was the class. Of course, I try to be really confident, to be really trustful for students, and of course, they could have the opportunity to interact with me. That was crucial in this learning. And the fourth theory was the input and sources. It was by I took the definition of Susan Gas, and she mentions that our input is all the acquires all the tools the students get to learn a language, like vocabulary, reading, listening exercises. Those examples are input, and of course, those are from different sources. I use videos, I use the games, I use podcasts, I use recordings, I use my own voice. So those this diversity of sources made the exercise successful, and of course too many visual tools. Now I want to talk a little bit about assessment. Okay, I assess one of the students, yeah, and I apply the four skills: listening, reading, writing, and speaking. And I want to say this is one of the most important part of the pedagogical cycle, because let's remember it is divided into three parts. We have planning or planification, we have instruction, and we have assessment. Based on this assessment, it helped me to make future and correct and accurate decisions, because the assessment doesn't measure the student. The assessment measure the teacher, and it verifies if the teacher is doing well or if I need to improve some techniques. So that's why this analysis comes later in this presentation. But now let's continue with the second part, that is the pedagogical practice. I want to show you some evidences about it. Yes, as I told you, it was totally online, and here there is a demonstration, and I want to tell you a little bit about it. I was in CPAS practice English, but I have like three emphases. Yes, of course, I work with the professor Ana Maria Sanchez. She was like the teacher who supported, and of course, she was the one who checked my development and my tasks during the pedagogical practice during this semester. And first, I help students from different VAs with the exam Saber Pro. That's why I had too many students in those sessions, and I helped them telling what was the test about, some strategies, and of course, we practice some exercises for them to be successful in this examination. Also, I taught Spanish to a teacher who is living in the United States. It was really different because the target language wasn't English as usual, but it was Spanish. And of course, the third emphasis was to teach English to students from a Arunat. Yes, these are more evidences about this. Of course, we taught different topics like how to get to a place in an unknown place. Yes, in an unknown city, in an unknown country, how to introduce yourself how to talk about your family, how to, if you are in a hotel, how to book a hotel. Those were some of the topics we studied during the semester. Now, the third emphasis and the third part of this video is about the assessment. Here, I want to tell that it was really crucial for this subject because during the pedagogical practice, one of the students, her name is Maritza, she was assessed and she was tested with an exam. This exam had four parts: listening, speaking, writing, and reading. And of course, I explained her the exam. He took time to answer it, and after I connected with her to make a feedback. Of course, we can say the methodology to analyze this exam was mixed because we combine the qualitative and the quantitative. The quantitative, because of course there were some punctuations and grades for this exam, and I counted the positive points with a checklist. And of course, qualitative, because I consider the gestures and the corporal expressions and the opinion from the students about the exam. What she considered, what she thought was the easiest, and what she thought was the most demanding exercise, and why. Those arguments help me to understand, oh, okay, I can help the students maybe giving more examples or with the layout of the exam. And of course, here further suggestions is so meaningful because the exercise doesn't finish here. So it means I took or I applied this test to Maritza, but of course, to have the feedback of these exams help me to continue improving in the design of exams, in the design of assessment for further moments, for further opportunities. That's why with Maritza, I discovered that listening skill was the most demanding skill and we needed to practice more in CPAS. That's why for further semesters I will be more emphasized on listening and to help students with this demanding and difficult skills a skill. Well, as a conclusion, I can say that I had the right tools and right approach. Yeah, I consider the communicative approach is the best because it's the most complete and it can help a student. Of course, every student is different, each student is different, and we need to analyze the student's needs before we start with the sessions. Second, these spaces help us improve our research, teaching, and learning abilities. Of course, we are not only teachers at that moment, we are also researchers. The third talks about that it promotes a sense of belonging because to be at the university and to be working hand by hand with the Professor Ana Maria and with the Professor Steffi helped me to say, hey, the university is really great. It has too many good components, and we can check and verify we can check different aspects in pro of the university and in pro of the students. So I think now I am like closer to university and I love it. I think that's so important to continue with my process as a future English teacher. And finally, I can say that I raise my personal and professional development because I am like knowing people, meeting people, and of course knowing Colombia through the platform because I had students from different parts from the country: Bogota, Cali, Medellin, Putumayo. So it was a really cultural experience also. And this is the bibliography of the resources. I took some of these theoretical frameworks like the Cambridge English Language Assessment, this intelligent test for children, this turning test into task. And I appreciate for your attention. Thank you very much. I learned a lot and I would like to continue, of course, with this CPAS, with this scenery of practice for the next semester. Thank